A good morning, one and all. It's match day, quite an important match day, actually. Not one of the real big groundbreaking games, but if West Ham win today, and I know there's a lot of people think that's unlikely, but if West Ham win today, we go level with Newcastle and Brighton, and Newcastle was 6th, just to put it in perspective. It's a little, you know, you get those things sometimes within the Premier League, a league within a league and all the rest of it. Just looking at the Premier League now, it's like the top 5 have broken away, really, haven't they? So we'll forget about that. However, they're downwards. It does not going to take much for us to claw our way back into it. It would also be really good, I think, anyway, to be able to go above Manchester United, stay above Chelsea. That would be nice. Look, some of the football hasn't been great, but the context and the way we sort of look at the league could look a lot better after today. Let's put it that way. But anyway, I want to play a game with you, and I want you to join in as well. And it is by using something called Fanhub, because I'm going to predict the team for today. But I want you to join in. Look, I'm not going to lie. I want you to join in and download an app, because basically we'll get paid for it. It helps us do this as a job. The app is called Fanhub. The link is in the description below. Go and download it. Please use that link, because if you just go and search for it yourself, basically, they won't know you've come from Hammer's Chat, and that's sort of what we need. But it's free. I'm not asking you to spend any money. And once you do so, and once you downloaded it, what it's going to ask you to do is predict a team for today. I've already done it. I want you to do it as well, and we'll see how we match up. And by the way, there's a thing called community on there. Go and follow Hammer's Chat, and we'll follow you back. So we'll do this. We'll follow it. We'll follow each other, and we'll see how close we get on this. So today, look, the easy prediction for this one is going to be, for me, Areola. I'm sure you all agree. This is a really important game for David Moyes. We'll get to the 2 players that are missing in just a minute. He's going to play Vladimir Coufal. I'm absolutely certain of it. Let's get to the first thing that really deserves proper discussion, and that is Konstantinos Mavropanos. Not just because he played well the other night, and he did. Give you another reason that is, despite some reports earlier on in the week that Zuma would be fit and ready for this game, I'm not so sure. There have been some conflicting reports. Now, I do actually think it's 50-50. I do think Zuma could play, but David Moyes in his pre-match press conference was really, really bigging up, Dinos, as he calls him, obviously meaning Konstantinos Mavropanos. I think he might play. So in my prediction on my team, I've gone for him. He's going to play Nafer Gerd next to him. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Nafer Gerd is one of his first 2 choice centre-backs. But I think there's a real opportunity for Mavropanos. I'm not going to spend ages talking about him, because let's be fair, I did a whole video about him only 2 days ago. I think he's a wonderful, wonderful player, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more. But the longer, this was always going to happen, Kurt Zuma getting injured. If it does happen, be back games for Mavropanos, and you'd have to fancy that he would also start against Olympiacos again. And that would be really something. 3 good games. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but would be interesting to see. Obviously, Emerson's going to play at left back. I'm sure everybody here is going to predict exactly the same thing. Now we get to what David Moyes is going to do in terms of how is he going to deploy his midfielders. Bear in mind, he is without Lucas Paqueta, and he is without Edson Alvarez. 2 of them both getting accumulating so many cards they get a match ban. Obviously, they've both got carded against Everton. He's going to play Thomas Souček. We all know that. There's no doubt about that at all. He's going to play James Ward-Prowse. This is one of the reasons that James Ward-Prowse was rested against Arsenal in the League Cup on Wednesday. What's he going to do thereafter? Well, it depends. I'm not going to get too hung up on which formation it's going to be, but I would imagine if we say those are the 2 holding midfielders, I know my team doesn't reflect that if you look at it on the screen, but I do think he's going to play. He'll definitely play Mohammed Kudus. How can you not? He's just got to play all the time. So for the argument of this, the purposes of this video, let's just say that he's going to be an attacking midfield, which is going to leave us with a front 3, if you like. Antonio comes back for this game. Now, that's obvious, but I think it's only obvious because the 2 guys are out in midfield. I honestly think were Paqueta and Alvarez both to be fit, I'm not entirely sure that Antonio would play in this game. Really, really not. And I do wonder how that would play out. I think it's very, very interesting. What I don't want to see is when everyone gets back to full fitness, is I do want Kudus in the team, but when we see Paqueta, I don't want him on the left anymore. I want him near. I want him central. I want him near Kudus, and I want him near Jarrod Bowen, which leaves Ben Rama is probably the best option for David Moyes in that system at the moment. I do think they'll revisit it. I do think another player will probably be purchased in January. Covered that in a video yesterday. So the front three, I think, will comprise of Said Benrahma, because I think that's what he's going to do. Said Benrahma on the left, Mikel Antonio up front. I think Jarrod, Bowen on the right. So, as I say, Kudus is going to be the attacking midfielder, something like that. Whether they swap those positions around, I don't know. But I do think that's going to be your team. I do think that is what we're going to see against Brentford. I don't think it's going to be easy. Look, Brentford are no mugs. Brentford are in 10th. We're in 9th. Brentford got 13 points. We've got 14. Their goal difference is better than ours, though. Somebody wrote in the comments after the Aston Villa game, it wasn't so much the fact that we lost, but, the fact that we'd done such good work at the start of the season to get a positive goal difference and we'd undone it all then. And I completely and utterly agree. But I think there's a lot of people writing off this game. I do, and I'm not so sure. I'm really not so sure. I think Brentford probably are the favourites, but I'm not convinced that we can't get something out of it. And I think if we can make ourselves resolute at the back, which I think is a possibility. I watched that Brentford game. I watched the Brentford game against, not all of it, let me be honest on that. I didn't watch all the Brentford game against Chelsea, but I saw enough to know that Chelsea absolutely battered them and Brentford stayed back. And Brentford really, the last goal was a ridiculous case of catching them on the break. The other goal was a sort of crossover and it was headed in. But I just can't see us giving Brentford the type of counter-attacking opportunities that Chelsea gave them. I just think that's going to be very, very... I just think we're going to just sit far deeper than that. I really do. So there's going to be the onus on them to come out a bit. David Moyes not got a good record against him. But do you know what? David Moyes also this season didn't have a good record against Brighton or De Zerbi. I know De Zerbi had not been there for 5 minutes, but you know what I mean. He got one over on him. And I think he possibly can today. It's just whether he can do it without two of his sort of key figures, which is obviously Paqueta and Alvarez. I guess we'll see. Myself and Gio will be live today at, what's the kickoff's at 3 o'clock? 3 o'clock Saturday kickoff. Wow. Imagine that. So obviously we'll be live at 1:55 over on the main channel. Charlie take you through the watch along. Once again, just to remind you at the start of the video, like I said, if you would please be so kind as to download. I almost said the other hub then. I almost said the other hub. The Fanhub. There you go. The Fanhub app. Don't download the app. If you do that in your own time. You certainly won't find a link for it under this video. Download Fanhub. The link is in the description below. We'd really appreciate it. It's not going to cost you any money at all. Get your prediction in. Get your team in. Do it now, and then you can start doing it for every game. I'm yet to get 11 out of 11. I am hopeful. I think I'm right, and I think a lot of you will be right. The only thing that's going to really stop it is whether or not Zuma's fit. I'm gambling that Zuma's not fit, which is why I've gone for Mavropanos. Let me know what your team is as well. And myself and Gio will catch up with you an hour and 5 minutes before kickoff.